Today I'm talking about another Agfa camera, but this time it's a very basic camera. In fact, the most basic sort of camera you can get, because I'm talking about the Agfa Box 4.4. And the Box 4.4 comes from about 1932, and Agfa was this huge film making company, made 35 and 120 film, and a bit like how modern day printer manufacturers quite often make cheap printers in order to then sell the ink, Agfa wanted to sell cheap cameras to sell film. Now there's a story to the 44, why it's called 44. Apparently a mark in Germany in the 30s had different letters on. Some marks had A, some had B, some had C, and some had D. And the idea was that if you've got 4 marks, you could buy a Agfa Box camera, and that was the marketing strategy. It was incredibly cheap. Well, I say incredibly, it was moderately cheap, and for a camera it was probably the easiest way to buy a camera, and it probably undercut the actual price of the camera. The producing cost was probably dearer, but it worked for Agfa, and they sold an awful lot of cameras, and basically it probably got a lot of people into photography. It is similar to any form of box camera, but remember, you need about 80 millimeters, depending on the lens, to get the focal length in. Interesting thing I think about this is that on the front you have no lens at all. The lens is actually on the mount here for the film, and the lens is there. Okay, can you see that? I have taken a single photo of it. It is of wooden construction, covered in this, I think, probably mock leather. Might be leather, but for the price I assume it's a mock leather. Nice little strap on the top. You have to insert it like so. A great thing about these Agfa Box cameras is that you can still use them today easily, because unlike a lot of the Kodak cameras that of course took 620 film after, I think it was 1920, the Agfa and 620 was a film introduced by Kodak. It was a slightly different diameter of spool. The rest of the film was the same, but the spool was different. So you can rewind for 620, but it's so much easier if the camera is 120, and this is 120. So this 1930s camera you can put a film in today very easily. To shoot, you shoot from the hip, you look down either portrait or you look landscape. There's a simple shutter there, and you can have it on normal or B. It's quite common for long exposures. I would say there's only one real downside to this camera, which I think I'm going to see in my taking, and that is the shutter speeds are quite low on here. They are normally about 1/30th of a second, which if you're holding on your hip or wrist, it's okay, or is it? Let's see how I got on when I took the camera out into the field to see if a 1930s camera is any good today. So the first photograph is of Corfe Castle. Actually all the photographs are going to be of Corfe Castle, and here's a slightly better one because we haven't got camera shake here. I thought we might get camera shake with the 1/30th of a second, but this has worked well. This goes back to the camera shake, but we do have an image that we can recognize of the village of Corfe from the fields, and here's a landscape of Corfe, and again I'm quite pleased with this. Yes, it's not the sharpest, but it's a usable photograph. And this one again, the hedge is beautifully in focus, and you can just see this cottage behind it. So in actual fact, this camera, 30 years old, I say 30, over 80 years old is in fact a real user. Thanks for watching. Bye.